Hi, I just wanted to record a little quick apology that the way I recorded the Naked Truth tag it looks really dark. I think it's just the way that my window is in my bedroom. So I didn't want to go back and re hash the stuff that I had talked about. So I'm just going to upload it that way, and I hope that you guys could see it. Bye. Hi everybody, good morning. Today is 4th of July, and I woke up early this morning and I was watching a few videos that I'm subscribed to, and started reflecting a lot on whether or not to do the Naked Truth tag from Finding Elizabeth. And I really find it very brave that some of you have already posted your videos, but I think that it's important for me to do this for myself. And I think also that in hopes that if there's someone out there that has experienced similar things, that they, I don't know, maybe it shines a little bit of hope, and that they could see that, you know, things can change and things can get better. So if you followed my journey from the beginning, there was one video that I previously made about, it's called My Dysfunctional Relationships. And I think that's where I talk about where I think my weight gain came from. And after watching these videos, I actually realized that this past week has been really rough for me, and I wasn't quite sure why. Like, I'm not doing this for, I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me. I don't want anyone to pity me, I think, but this is how I'm feeling. So if I'm crying, I'm sorry. If I get tearful, I'm sorry. It's not meant for that. But I realized that this week I am at the weight that I was when I was physically assaulted at work. So, you know, they call, I know for like muscle memory or whatever, but I think there's also a lot of times you get triggered by things when your body or something, when it reminds you of it. So that may be why I've been so emotional. If you've been following my social media on Facebook or Instagram, I have been pretty emotional this week, and I realized that today. So here's a little bit more about my naked truth and why I feel, or what I feel has contributed to my weight gain in the past years. Like I mentioned before, I wasn't an overweight child or adolescent. I actually was very, like, at a healthy weight. I was active. My mom and my brother, who both, you know, they're the ones that raised me and took care of me, they were vegetarians and were very into nutritious and healthy eating, so I never had that issue. However, once I got to the age of 18 and started this very dysfunctional relationship that I've talked about previously, I started gaining a lot of weight. And I think it was in hopes that, I don't know, that maybe he would stop being so abusive towards me if I gained weight, because I didn't want to give him a reason to think that I was either cheating on him, or a reason to think that anyone else would be interested in me. And I think, you know, I might have subconsciously been doing it for me as well. There were times when he wanted to, you know, I don't want to repeat a lot of what I had previously said in the other video, sorry, but the relationship just started getting bad. It started getting worse when I went off to college, and every time I would come to visit, he would accuse me of cheating, even to the point that if I wasn't sexually active with him, he would make me have sex with him so that he could know that I wasn't with anyone else. It got to the point where he wanted to smell my underwear. He wanted to just a lot of very uncomfortable things. And I think also where it started really affecting me was that he shut me off from my family. He didn't want me going to visit my sister, my mom, because he, for some reason, thought that they were covering for me and that they would let me be with other people, when in fact my mom would never even want me to be with anybody. She was very overprotective. But I think that the more abusive the relationship got, the more I wanted to just not be attractive to anybody. I don't know, he even got to the point where I couldn't even shower if I was going out because he thought I was showering for someone. So I started adding the weight. I remember my mom would tell me, like, what's wrong with you? Like, you don't even want to do your hair. You don't get ready. You don't look nice. And I don't think that she meant to hurt me, but I wasn't only getting the negative talk from him, but I was getting it from my family, because they were constantly on me about my weight, about my appearance, not dressing up, not doing my hair, and it just started piling up. And my weight was always the conversation when I walked into a room with my family. It was always like, when are you going to do something about that? Why are you, I remember when I could buy you pretty dresses and you always look pretty and everything. And as the years went by, I just started becoming more and more invisible. At least I thought I was. Like, no one would pay attention to me. When I was in college, I had to work while I was in college to help pay my tuition. So I used to clean the dorms, and the dean of the dorm became a very protective mother-like figure to me. And I remember one day I had been physically abused, so I was bruised all over my arms, and it was a hot day and I was wearing a sweater and cleaning, and I remember she took me inside her office and made me take off the sweater, and when she saw all my bruises, she took me to the health office at the university, and they asked whether or not I would be filing a report. I didn't, because I was afraid. My mom tried to file and she couldn't, because it had to be for me, because I was an adult. But with the help of my dean and my mom never giving up on me, she paid for a flight. I think it was like almost $900 to get me out of the state. And I moved in with my brother for some time, and that was the only way I got out of that. So that's where all my weight came from. Those, I think, almost 4 years of weight gain. I went from maybe 115 pounds to, I don't know, almost 200 pounds. I'm not sure. I never even weighed myself back then. And then I think things started getting better, and fast forward a few years, in 2000, was it 13? No, I think it was 14 already. In January, I was about 200 pounds, and I worked at a prison for men. It's a maximum security prison. I always felt that I wouldn't, I mean, I would look professional, but I always also try to wear sweaters and try to, cover myself as much so that I wouldn't attract like negative attention. Because I remember one of my first few days working there, someone pulled me aside and told me that I was young, I was pretty, and I didn't want to attract negative attention while I was working there. So I just started, covering up. I was always wearing a sweatshirt, put my hair up in a bun, no makeup. But I ended up having a client that was very psychotic. He had never, well, he had, but for a while he was in isolation, and he had just been released from ADSEG and put into the general pop. And he was very childlike, and a lot of the times he wanted to talk about Ninja Turtles and basketball, and I don't know, I think somehow at the prison the schedules got disrupted. There was no consistency, and if anyone is familiar with mental health, they know that consistency is one of the best things that we could that our clients could have to help them be better. And there was a lot of chaos around that time. I think he knew what he needed to do in order to return to ADSEG, because that was his comfort zone. And I was the only person that he had direct access to. I think that the clinician in me, or the therapist in me, I still, even in that moment, I remember they were asking me, like the correctional officers and the director of our program was asking me what I needed, or I was obviously in a panic. I was hyperventilating. And the only thing I could think of was, you need to take care of him. I was taking care of everyone else. And in that moment, now that I look back, I realize I wasn't caring about myself. I was more worried about his well-being, even though he had just physically assaulted me. He pinned me against the wall. He made his own shank, or and had it against my neck while he tried to touch me inappropriately. Luckily, I didn't freeze. I was able to kick him and struggle and save some time while the officers got there. But, thinking back, like I continued to do that. I was caring for someone else instead of me. And that's, earlier I mentioned that I think this week was so emotional because I am at the exact same weight and as at that time. And after that happened, it triggered a lot of my past trauma to come back, and I became a hermit. I was on leave from work for 6 months, and those 6 months, it was very rare for me to leave my house, other than for therapy or my workers' comp appointments. That was the only time I was leaving, and I managed to gain 30 pounds. Yeah, and it somehow, during that process, I decided, there were so many times, my sister, I think she meant well, but for me, I felt offended. She would tell me, I don't know why you're struggling with the weight. Why don't you just have the surgery and get it over with? And I remember thinking, I'm not going to have this surgery. I'm going to lose the weight by myself, and I'm going to take care of it. And I remember I had just had the conversation with my sister and before going into therapy, and my therapist could tell that I was very upset. and we discussed it, we talked about it. And I think what was bothering me is that her words were, "Why do you continue to suffer?" And I remember telling my therapist, like, why would someone think I'm suffering because I'm overweight? You know, I'm trying to live a fulfilled life. I'm trying to do things in a good way. I'm not suffering. But I think in that moment I realized that the weight was a way for me to hide from my problems, to hide from other people, and hoping that they wouldn't notice me. And that was just like my aha moment that I needed. And I wasn't being invisible. People were seeing me. And they were seeing that how miserable I was. I think that's when I decided to seek out weight loss surgery. So from then till now, you know, I am back at the weight that I was when this incident happened. And I'm having to deal, it's just triggering a lot of what was happening in that time. I don't know. So yeah, that's my naked truth. I think I've already talked a little bit about this, so I didn't go into a lot of the details, but I think that I've consistently used my weight as a way of hiding from everyone. I have not, I'm learning to cope with my emotions, and I'm learning to help myself. I think a lot of us that are in a helping profession, and even through this weight loss journey, a lot of us, we help others and we forget about ourselves. So I hope, you know, my goal, my desire is that hopefully at some point I'm strong enough and able to provide counseling services to women that have been abused, or even men that have gone through any type of trauma. I would love to be able to do some of that in private practice at some point. But, you know, the struggles are also making me a better person. And I feel that they will continue to shape the woman I am now. Yeah, I think that we all have our individual journeys that we've been through, and hopefully they not only make us look better, but I also think that the struggles were there for a reason, and they're making me a better person every day, because I'm able to look back and be able to empathize and understand how someone else may be feeling that has gone through something similar. So I'm gonna end it now. I don't know what else to say, but that's my naked truth. Bye.